Welcome to What's the Big Idea with Bo Wills. Join Bo as he interviews candidates for the Walton County Board of Commissioners 2024 election. We'll cover races in Districts 1, 3, and 5. In District 1, incumbent William Boots McCormick is up against Dan Curry and Trey Nick. District 3 sees Brad Drake facing Chuck Wilder in the primary, with the winner going up against Democrat Sean Roll. District 5 has Tony Anderson competing with Barbara Morano, Dr. Edmund Zelodia, and Democrat Michael Miller. In our first episode, Bo chats with Trey Nick, a longtime Walton County resident and commercial fisherman, discussing key issues like infrastructure, the philosophy of smart development, the effects of customary use, and more on What's the Big Idea with Bo Wills.
This is a candidate interview with Trey Nick. You're running for...
I run for County Commissioner District 1, which is, I like to tell everybody, that's the Freeport District. You know, it consists, that district breaks or starts at the Okaloosa County line on Highway 20 and runs eastward to the Choctahatchee River. So that's why I want to say the Freeport District, because it's the biggest town there in that district. So.
Right. Well, before we get into your race for candidacy and everything that entails, tell me a little bit about Trey Nick. Where are you from? How'd you get here? How'd you get into the restaurant business?
Well, my granddad, I tell you, it goes back to my granddad. He retired out of the Army Air Corps, flew B-17s in the Army Air Corps, retired at Craig Air Force Base in Selma, Alabama, and built houses in Selma and Montgomery, and then said, you know what, I'm retired. I want to go fishing. You know, I want to come home. I want to go get out of here, you know. So he moved to Florida, and he landed here in Basin Bayou. And he's an Italian descent, so he said, I want to cook. So he built a restaurant, which we're in today. He built a new place, what we call a new place, and he built that in 1963, and it's been run as a restaurant ever since.
We're here at Nick's Seafood. This is your establishment?
Yes, we're here at Nick's on Basin Bayou. It's a landmark.
In 2018, I did candidate interviews for that election process, and I kind of viewed myself as an average, normal person who was interested in getting to know the people who were running for election. And I wanted to do that again in 2024 because I had a feeling it would be a very interesting political season, and it looks like it's winding up to be a pretty interesting political season. So I appreciate you taking a little time and speaking to me to get to know Trey Nick as a person and as a candidate and as a business owner. So you grew up in the restaurant business early age.
Yeah. I mean, that's all I knew. You know, that's all I knew doing that. So growing up right here.
And you went to school here in Freeport?
I went to school in Freeport. I was the last class at Freeport High School to go K through 12. So, and then my brother was a year behind me, and he was the first class that attended Freeport Elementary School.
So you graduated from Freeport. You move off?
Graduated from Freeport, went to Auburn, came back here. At a young age of 23 years old, and took the restaurant over. And at the time, I had 4 people working for me that had a combined experience of 120 years. Mm. So, I mean, these folks knew what was going on here in Basin Bayou, and their attitude was, hey, what is this young kid going to do that we don't already know, you know? Mm. So I told them, I said, y'all just keep doing what you're doing, and I'll clean the bathrooms for you. You know what I mean? I'll work for y'all. So I did that. It worked pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'm here today, still here today doing it. You know, and I call this home. I call this on campus. You know, so if you want to find Trey Nick, you come to Nick's restaurant. He's usually close by.
Do you have kids?
Oh yeah, I got 2 kids. I got my girl Aubrey she went to Auburn, transferred to West Florida, got a nursing degree from West Florida. She's now working at Sacred Heart Hospital in Pensacola. My son Cade is an upcoming senior in Freeport High School. He fishes and hunts, and he's growing up a lot like I did around here in the restaurant business and enjoying the atmosphere, what Walton County has, you know.
So prior to 2018, have you ever held any sort of...
I never held a political spot. Never was an elected official in any sort. But when I decided to run for commissioner back in 2018, I had some friends that come to me and they said, hey, man, we would consider you to be a candidate. You know, we would like to see you run. And I'm like, man, I turned them down. I was like, no, I'm not into that. I don't really care, you know. And then after about the third person to come to me, the third commissioner came to me and says, you might consider this. You'd be a good candidate for this. And I'm like, well, I said, what does it entail?
What is the job of county commissioner? What's the job description? What does it entail?
I would say it's solving problems for people in the community. You know, helping putting people together. Everyone has an issue. Someone's got a problem. They don't know where to turn. but helping them solve those problems, helping them answer questions about the local knowledge, having the local knowledge of this area and what Walton County is all about.
Let's talk about infrastructure and development for a second. It doesn't take a rocket surgeon to look around and see that Walton County has experienced just phenomenal growth, especially since you've been born and raised here, but even in the last 5 or 6 years, pre-pandemic, through the pandemic, just seems like more and more people want to come here, live here, make their home here for all of the, wonderful characteristics that Walton County has to offer. How do you see the Board of County Commissioners' role in infrastructure development? Those type of issues.
We got to be smart when it comes to growth. Bottom line, you got to look at that not only now, what's happening now, but you got to look at 10, 20, even 40 years from now.
And we have a land development code.
That's right, and we have to abide by that. Our land development code we have to abide by. Now, can we adjust that? We have to address it. We have to address that land development code in order to make what fits here. Make those rules of the land development code fit the best for Walton County. It's for a better bay. You got to control water flow and control stormwater runoff is the main thing here. We're smarter. When it comes to development, we're smarter as a species than we were 20 years ago, or than we were 50 years ago. So the health of the bay is really good. You know what I'm saying? Because we know not to put sewage in it. We know to control the runoff. We know not to fertilize next to the next to the water side. So those little things, what we're doing as a species, are a lot better for our waterways than it has been in the past. So it's moving in the right direction, and it's just crucial that we keep those elements up.
Well, one thing that I was really impressed by from your first term was the efforts that you made to reach out to other institutes of higher learning, laboratories, professionals in general, to get them involved, maybe to duplicate some of what they were doing.
Yeah, and think about it, we want to know what our neighbors are doing. You're going to reach out to other counties, other states, and say, hey, how are you treating your estuaries? What are you doing to benefit your estuaries, and what programs are working for you? And it takes that networking together to bring it all in as a whole. I reached out to the Auburn University Shellfish Lab when I was commissioner before, and I brought the biologist over, and we took several trips over and looked at the lab and introduced them to our engineers, and said, hey, what can we do to bring that here? And then I brought the biologist here. I said, hey, well, you got to come over, and you're going to get on the boat with us, and we're going to put divers in the water, and we're going to take water samples. We're going to take samples of oysters. We're going to take samples of fish, and I want you to look at it, and you bring it back, and you analyze that, or whatever. You put your brain to it. Tell us how to make it better. So that's where I've done that.
Another hot topic issue. I'm not sure that there's a smooth resolution to it today. I mean, I know it's kind of been decided, but customary use and what that's going to do to the economy as far as it relates to beach tourism in Walton County, and how do you view the customary use issue? And
I tell you what, I'm all for customary use. I'm all for everybody getting to use the beach. I want them to transverse up and down our beach, all 26 miles of it. We have to have the public come to our beach, because if we don't do that, our economy will crumble. And plus, I want my kids go to the beach. I've taken my kids to the beach when they were little. I want their kids to do the same thing. And if we don't have that, man, we can't take that away.
What do you think some of the solutions are to making the beach more accessible to the public who doesn't own?
Yeah, well, we got to better our beach accesses. I believe we better our beach accesses. I remember in the late '80s, early '90s, looking and said, what? I said, man, this is, if someone keeps buying this up, it's going to be an issue. I remember seeing that back then in 1990, but so now we're seeing that now. Yeah, but we have to improve our beach accesses as a county. County can do that. County can reach out and better our beach accesses, and because we want to keep inviting them down. We want them to enjoy what we have.
Are you in favor of the county purchasing more beachfront property?
I am for that. I am for that, because I understand the need for it, and what it is real crucial for this county.
Do you think that there's room to purchase smaller properties like a single family home that may be in a position to where it can be, torn down. It's not one of these.
Well, that's probably where we're at.
Yeah.
Probably where we're at in the world right now in this county, because, where else are we going to put them on the beach at? But we got to figure out, our TDC director will help put us in line with the good properties and that where it needs to be.
Right.
What's their recommendation, basically?
So we can rely on the TDC, kind of like we rely on the EDA, to have better firsthand knowledge about where resources need to be directed.
Yeah. I don't have all the good answers for the TDC or all the great answers for the EDA, but I will listen to them.
Right.
And listen to the recommendations and see where it needs to be.
Right. Everything to me kind of falls back to infrastructure, from economic diversity to affordable housing to having a better labor pool for small businesses to recruit from. It seems like it all circles back to, we need to have more infrastructure so that A, housing is a little less expensive, B, there's other areas in the county that we can develop to, i.e. better roads, sewer and water. And I remember a couple years back when a lot of these infrastructure projects were really being spoken about, because I think there was a tax on the referendum that didn't pass. It seemed to me that the reason the tax was being talked about is that we needed funding for some of these infrastructure projects.
That's the bottom line. Yeah, good or bad, we need to improve our roads. We needed the money. We need matching money to improve our roads. However we get there, we got to get there. You know what I'm saying? There's better ways to figure it out. We got to figure those out. We need good infrastructure projects. We need money to do that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but right now the way that we raise money for infrastructure projects to a high degree is through the mobility fee that we collect from new permits, new development projects. So there's a little bit of this catch-22 of, we need development to fund infrastructure.
Yeah.
But we need infrastructure to handle development.
That's where it comes smart development. That's where smart development comes in. So if you don't have smart development, you don't have the monetary funds to help better these projects, these infrastructure projects. So we got to get smart with that. They're a crucial element in the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
They're a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Is trying to get that funding and making sure that as we collect those mobility fees, they're part of smart developments. How is road improvement looked at on the county level between state roads, county roads, and what can we do to facilitate some of these projects that I think we all know?
We need to be active in the TPO. The TPO is a transportation planning organization that with Walton, we're in there with Okaloosa County. So, and there's a list of projects in the TPO that get funded. And we have to figure out ways to get our priorities up on that level. Okaloosa County has a lot more money to fund those projects than we do. So we got to find ways to match those fundings, to match that funds to get those projects moved up on the priority list.
And
we got to be more we got to be more active in the TPO, basically.
And I assume that'll be high on your priority list, is to look for other funding sources to contribute money so that we get some of this state funding for state road projects.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Drilling down to other issues that are important here in Walton County, how do you see healthcare? Where are the holes in healthcare that we need to?
Well, first is affordable housing. We need affordable housing to help support the local hospitals, the local doctors. I mean, without somewhere for these guys to live, we're not going to get them here. We got to recruit them. We got to recruit people to come be our doctors, to be our nurses, to work in the healthcare industry. It's busy. Just if you don't believe that, sit at Miramar Beach at the Sacred Heart Hospital and see what kind of traffic they get in their ER at times, man. Just come and go. I mean, it's nonstop. We need that support.
Yeah. So recruiting more doctors to come, and they look at the area and they say, "Oh, it's only $1 million to buy a house near the shop."
So that's exactly. So it's expensive to live here. So that's where affordable housing comes in. We need nurses. We need places for these people to land. I've got 2 rental houses now, and I got nurses that live in them. They work south of the bay at Sacred Heart. So, I see the demand of that.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to put them up somewhere. And without affordable housing, we won't have anyone to work, and we can't make this county thrive. You want a better Walton County. You want to move Walton County forward, and that's one of the reasons why I'm running. But if you want to dial it down, my passion is Choctawhatchee Bay, and we want to protect that at all costs. The Choctawhatchee Bay, because that's a main natural resource that help bring the people here as well as the beach. But But in even smaller than that, or maybe larger than that, is road improvements in transportation throughout Freeport.
Well, Trey, I appreciate you spending a little time with me.
Well, I tell you, Bo, I appreciate you coming out and doing this, man. It's nice for you to come out and get in front of all the candidates and let us see what we're about and what we have to offer.